All right, let's start by talking about Paytm, which is raising over 18,300 crores. That is 18,300 crore rupees in its market debut tomorrow. The Alibaba and Softbank-backed company will see key investors also let go of some of their stake. Now, the question is, what will it list at? Paytm has struck a lot of firsts with its IPO. It's India's largest IPO. It's raising a huge amount of money, and the response to it has been relatively tepid when compared to other consumer tech or tech-related or startup-related IPOs in the past. So what can we expect from the listing tomorrow? My colleague Harsh has more.
Well, Paytm is all set to list on stock exchanges, the largest ever IPO for an Indian company, raising 18,300 crores in its IPO, of which it had already raised 45%, which is around 8,200 odd crores from its anchor book. So anchor investors oversubscribed almost 10 times with strong interest from both sovereign wealth funds as well as global mutual funds. With regard to its IPO itself, the QIB component was oversubscribed almost 2.8 times, and the retail component was oversubscribed almost 1.6 plus times. So a total of 1.89 times in terms of oversubscription. Those numbers though don't look too large because the IPO was really large. So in terms of securing the highest ever retail subscription for IPOs, with retail sizes in excess of 1,000 crores over the last decade or so, is what Paytm has clocked. In terms of valuations, Paytm is already valued at $20 billion, and payment companies are typically trading at 5 to 10 times 1 year forward revenue, where Paytm is looking at a 40 times forward revenue valuation. However, the market is in a frenzy, especially the IPO market, with listing gains of other technology IPOs which have come to the fore, from a Zomato to a Nykaa to a Policy Bazaar, even to a Nazara Technologies. Nazara got 40% plus in terms of listing gains, Zomato 50% plus, and a Nykaa was at a solid 78% in terms of listing gains. And that may also follow suit with Paytm, but it's going to be interesting to watch out for how Paytm opens up.
All right, so what can we expect from Paytm? Aditya, Kondawar, CEO of JST Investments, with us on the show. Ganesh, promoter, Bigbasket, Portea Medical, Homelane, is also with us. Welcome to both of you, and thank you so much for joining us today. Aditya, let me begin with your take. Now, we're hearing that grey market price is trading at a bit of a discount, at least it was till earlier this evening. Can we expect sort of a tepid response tomorrow for Paytm?
So hi, Tamanna, thanks for having me. So like you rightly said, the sentiment around Paytm has been a bit weak. Number one, the issue size was very big. And also the issue was clashing with a lot of other IPOs. So the money was really blocked in the other IPOs. I believe that, it will have a flat to a slight premium listing, looking at the current market conditions. Yeah.
Okay, so Aditya, what would you suggest that investors do? Should they hold on for a bit? Do things look like they will improve for Paytm on the horizon? Because some of those factors are bound to ease. One of the factors you mentioned was that there were a lot of other IPOs and interest over there. Yeah. So will some of those factors then ease medium to long term?
So the thing is, if you have already subscribed to the Paytm IPO and you have been allotted shares, so then I would really suggest those holders to really watch out the business environment. Last time when we spoke, Tamanna, we touched upon the business segments of Paytm, starting from insurance tech, wealth tech, broking, and how Paytm faces competition in each one of those. So for a holder, you have to really track the business environment, how Paytm fares in all of those business segments, and then take a call if they have to hold or they have to exit. All IPOs are not just about the listing day premium and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just about listing day. That's why we need to look at the bigger story. Ganesh, where do you think this bigger story grows from here? I mean, the journey of Paytm and of Vijay Shekar Sharma in itself is breathtaking. But it also talks about how in this space you have to constantly innovate. Today, pre-listing, do you think that this narrative that Paytm has perhaps not left enough on the table for investors hurting it?
Yeah. Tamanna, on the specific pricing, I'm not an expert on the stock market, and any case IPO allotment and IPO listing and day pop is a matter of lottery. That's as all people know. So therefore, there is not much for me to talk about it. But fundamentally on this story, it's an extremely strong story. Okay, right? But both, if you look at the founder's capability, from the time in 2010, starting off as a VAS operator, then pivoting to a mobile wallet, and then changing on to launching the Paytm Mall, to Paytm banking license, then the challenges with UPI and Beam and integrating with UPI and Beam, all of that stuff, the nimbleness, the flexibility, the openness that Paytm has shown over the last 2 decades is phenomenal and unparalleled as far as that is concerned. That's one part of the story. Second part of the story is the digital story is happening in the market. The reason why Zomato or Nykaa is getting valued what it is valued, the reason why Bigbasket, Tata did a deal, and the reason you see unicorn valuations, all because of the digital story. That is something, it is irreversible and not changeable. Paytm is playing right in the middle of that. Look at when demonetization happened. Okay, the number of users went up from 140 million to 270 million within a year of demonetization. Now, they did not create demonetization. That is what has happened. Look at pandemic. Paytm is a household name. So therefore, the story is very much there. It's going to play out. Yeah. Obviously, it's a highly, fiercely competitive market. They are number 3 in the Beam UPI payments behind Google Pay and Phone Pay. But that is fine. Yeah. Look at the size and scale of the market. So I think the story is intact. The story is yet to play out. Very big story, great founder. So for the next 10 years, I'm bullish on the digital economy and therefore on Paytm. I don't think anything. Now, right now, tomorrow when the listing happens, at that price, should they buy or sell?
So in a previous conversation we had, for that we have Aditya. No, you're right. For that we have Aditya on whether they should buy or sell. But Ganesh, you're making the right point, because a lot of it is also about the founder. Last time when we were speaking to Deepak Shenoy on this, he said the same thing, that it's about the founder and where the founder can take the story next. In that case, Aditya, do you think that there is a lot more that remains to be seen in terms of the Paytm growth story? I mean, the biggest thing going for them is their large bucket of merchants that they have with them.
Correct. So one of the thing with startups is that, they have to continuously keep pivoting, like Mr. K. Ganesh just said, they started off as a mobile top-up player and look where they are today. They have evolved into a full fintech company. If we talk about Zomato recently, they have again invested in 2 startups, right, to develop their ecosystem around their core businesses. So at this point of time, it's very difficult for us to judge, what Paytm will look like 5 years down the line. But of course, one thing is for sure, that the pivot is going to be constant.
Tamanna, I would like to come in here and say that it's not a pivot because the earlier model has failed. That's not the case as I see going forward. They have a huge consumer user base. It's a brand, it's a household brand. They have, more importantly, a huge merchant base, which they have done. For anybody else to do it is difficult. And even if other people compete, like there are competition, we are talking about a large market. Now, Paytm's success will depend less on their ability to pivot going forward, but more on the ability to do cross-sell, upsell. We are talking about insurance, we are talking about Paytm Money, we are talking about credit, all of that. They have Paytm's bank, they're trying for banking license. With a new bank, small bank banking license, they can actually do credit. So each of these areas to sell to the merchants and the consumers and make money with the size and scale that have is phenomenal upside. My only suggestion, without specific recommendation, is the investors, retail, get an opportunity to participate in the new age digital companies and value creation in India over the next 5 to 10 years. Okay. Choose wisely which companies, how much you allocate to each company, but this sector and the section of the Sensex or section of the indices belonging to such new age companies is going to be substantial. In the US, it's close to 40%. That's what will happen here. So for the retail investor to benefit, they need to participate in the story, okay, right? Which company at what price? I'll leave Aditya to comment and other experts, market experts to comment.
Yeah. No, so that is why there is so much interest. There is so much interest in each of these listings because it's actually heralding a new era in the Indian stock markets, new kinds of companies, and perhaps this is the basis of what the big companies of the future will look like. With that in mind, let's keep a close eye on how Paytm lists tomorrow, and of course, you know where you need to be and which channel you need to be with to see all of those latest details. Thank you so much to both of you for now.